Get yourself a custom-built PC that's capable of running Rainbow Six Siege upwards of 144 frames at a 10% discount using the code Gregor, and you can help support the Gregor gaming experience in the process. My thanks to Apex Gaming for sponsoring this video. So dudes, so Crimson Heist has been out for a little while, and this isn't a Flores how-to, which means that I'm never making it. After all, videos are materialized by my brain and are made instantly whenever I want them. I want to talk a little bit about Rainbow Six Siege from a marketing and business perspective. Keep in mind, I'm not a guy who commutes to an office every day in a suit that looks at charts with other people who think they have a better opinion about what to do with the chart in an expensive part of LA that I can actually afford because that's how good I am at talking about charts. Chart guys are good at what they do, and I'm good at what I do, which is making videos and talking into a mic. Siege is in an awkward position right now. The game has been out for a little over 6 years. If you guys wanted to feel old, just remember that the difference between Halo 3's and Halo Reach's release dates was about 3 years. Games can change drastically within just a year. And many people like to point out, fairly, that Siege is an example of a game that can have a massive turnaround and good deal of success in a short amount of time with enough gusto and quick thinking. And by now, it's becoming a bit more difficult to justify buying it. A new generation of consoles has come and gone, and this is a very important thing to talk about because Siege makes a pretty decent amount of its money by selling copies on consoles. What demographics are we trying to attract when we market Rainbow Six Siege? The dude chilling on his couch with his girlfriend has been cornered by Call of Duty Warzone. Hell, even Fortnite is doing pretty well. Dude on the couch chilling?
Nope.
What about the competitive Zoomer? Well, the competitive Zoomer is on the Valorant wave right now. Competitive Zoomer?
Nope.
What about the competitive Boomer? The competitive Boomer is probably playing CSGO.
Nope.
Who actually plays Siege? A phenomenon that I've noticed through the time that I've wasted on Twitter and reading YouTube comments that I would hate to see quantified as a single number is that Siege's community seems fractured. If Siege was a person, it would have multiple personalities. It has an esports scene that is relatively popular and has a good degree of money behind it, but constantly projects bad optics with big orgs leaving left and right. It had a base of milsim tactical shooter guys who enjoyed it for those elements, who have probably left to go play things like Insurgency Sandstorm after the game's writing went in a different direction. Siege tries its best to reach out to as many different markets as it can. So again, what is Siege's core audience? This isn't empirical, but this is my best guess. Siege's core audience is bruh, Big Chungus, LMG mounted and loaded. And it's this way because this game is extremely complicated. You're not going to be able to explain to somebody the anatomy of a take if they don't know how to drone. You won't be able to explain the anatomy of a hold if they don't know how to set up the site. Spend a long enough time in Platinum Elo and you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. One game you'll run into people that are droning thoroughly, positioning themselves in ways that make sense to get refrags, planning as soon as they get the site, and then the other game, you get people who sit outside the building on Blackbeard for 2 minutes. Not all the time, but enough to make you go, am I really in Plat Elo? Why would you reinforce that? I made a video a long time ago called Why Your Rank Doesn't Matter for this very reason. Elo in this game is Ubisoft's best guess at how likely you are to win or lose a game versus another group of players. It also doesn't necessarily represent one's game knowledge very well either, which is why weirdos on Twitter denounce Ubisoft developers for having low ELO ratings and low KDs, because different people don't work in different departments on different things, I guess. Sweatlords detest noobs because they think noobs suck and Ubi makes this game for casuals. Noobs detest Sweatlords because Sweatlords are versions and Ubi makes this game for Pro League Red Bull addicts. See the problem? Game communities have their population splits. I played World of Warcraft in high school. Some people on our server played it for the role-playing, some people played it for the PvP, some people played it for the PvE raids and dungeons. Everybody did their own thing and just kind of coexisted alongside each other. Not the Siege community. Parts of the Siege community just straight up hate each other. Poor Ubisoft. What the hell are they supposed to do? They can't please everybody, but they have to, or the game will face growing stagnation in the coming years off of its age alone. It hasn't built the star power that CSGO has to carry it across its long lifespan. Shroud played Siege for a little while, then he left. Siege's community is unique. It's like a family, and that has a lot of upsides. It makes it feel more connected. But stockholders don't care if your community feels more connected. They care about money. And this is why I think many content creators are worried. A reworked map is cool. A new operator is cool. But this is the only thing aside from the arcade modes that disappear forever, never to be seen again, unless it's a special occasion, that Siege gets in terms of content. You have to be a unique kind of person to want to sink hour after hour in this game to play in a competitive environment. So how many roadblocks do you have to go through with Siege in order to get there? Well, Siege has plenty for you to navigate along the way. Cheaters run rampant, and the match replay system has shown us just how many people have been hiding them. If you're on console, forget about it. If you don't have a mouse and keyboard, once you get around to mid-plat, you're wasting your time. This operator has this gadget. No, now they have this. Now they have this. Just kidding, we gave it back. Actually, we changed our mind. A firing range. Don't you have T-Hunt? Isn't that good enough? Yeah, the deathmatch modes seem to go really well. People seem to really like it. Huh? Oh, you wanted like a dedicated mode for it? What do most people do when they realize how difficult this game is? A lot of the time, they just uninstall it. And the people who don't really care about grinding ranked, well, they play quick match. If all the person wants to do is LMG mounted and loaded, that's great. Quick match is perfect for them. But for somebody who appreciates a challenge, but isn't trying to spend an hour after hour getting their ass kicked, they don't really see anything fun about quick match, which is just a less polished version of the mode they were just getting their ass kicked in. So they leave. Greg, what the hell are you talking about? You just made a Valorant video, and Valorant has a high skill ceiling. It has a pretty difficult learning curve too. Yeah, but Valorant also has a firing range, a dedicated gunfighting mode, and there's a huge demand for content that just features lineups, cool arrow spots, cool camera spots, cool molly spots. I see these all over the Valorant content creator sphere, and some companies have made apps that have videos of all this stuff plus extensive stat tracking built in. When I see a product that's oddly specific, but seems like it took a good deal of time and effort to make, that tells me that money was spent making it, and it made profit. And the only way it made profit was because there was a demand for it. There is a demand for esports-centric content within the Valorant and the CSGO spheres, and Siege, which is an elimination-based game with a bomb mode, like Valorant and CSGO, it doesn't really have that. Why do Siege content creators avoid detailed competitive analysis in their content? This is a question that gets asked all the time. I'll tell you why. From my personal experience, it's because it doesn't do jack shit for hits. This is why the Siege Year 6 roadmap looks the way it does. A Border rework that I feel could have been overlooked since Border was effectively written off by the competitive scene a long time ago. A Favela rework that will see no competitive play. Some various map touch-ups that are kind of whatever in Season 3. And an Outback rework, which I'm hoping works out, because that map is just awful and anything could be done to improve it. But there are maps in the current competitive pool that also see casual play that could be looked at like Consulate and Coastline. The competitive scene has been asking for some changes to these maps for a long time, and I was always under the impression they were at the top of the priority list. Siege's engine is showing its age too, and that's not helping. I don't think Siege is dying. I think Siege is just getting old. It can stay around for a lot longer. If Overwatch 2 doesn't flop, it will be proof that after all the snide grandstanding and shit-talking people have done of Blizzard's handling of Overwatch, that all it takes to cover up an L is a W when it matters. As Pat McAfee once said, winning cures everything. I hope Siege keeps winning, but the decisions that will help it win are not up to me to decide. What will get me worried about Siege's future is if Ubisoft tries to please everyone and then ends up pleasing no one.